All right, what's up, everyone? So today we have another video. It is about envy, being envious and the difference between it and jealousy, how to get rid of that, and all of the above. So envy is something that I've dealt with for a lot in my life, where I'd see my friends like progressing or have like money and whatever, and then I'd get super envious about them. I'd wish like I'd had that, and I never really progressed or started working on myself so I could have that, but instead I would just whine about them having it and me not, right? So that's what envy is. So we're going to get into the differences between envy and jealousy. But first, I want to talk about my previous video. It is addictions, how to overcome and better yourself. So just you go hit that video up and watch it because I think it's important. So let's start. Envy versus jealousy. So human nature is all about competition, especially for guys. We all want to be the alpha male. We all want to compete against each other. We all want to be better than the other, having the better girlfriend, the better car, the better house, and so forth. It's natural, right? We all want to be superior. We all want that power and that authority. But it's better not to be envious of other people and cloud your mind with negative thoughts. That's true. We're gonna get into that later on in the video and why that's horrible for you. So I'm not talking about jealousy, but we're talking about envy. The two words are used interchangeably, but they have different meanings and are separated by a fine line. So I read some articles, and what I got out of them was envy is discontent, is actually bringing yourself down and thinking and having like a negative mindset because of other people succeeding. You start to like have like an ill will, which is like wishing harm against other people because of that, and you start getting a desire for um someone else's things, for example their wife or whatever. That's horrible. It's really bad. You're not really a true friend if that happens. um Whereas jealousy is sort of like guarding something you already have, like being like super protective. For example, if you're at a restaurant with your girlfriend and somebody hits on them, that sort of like threat, you start to get jealous and protective of your girlfriend, right? That's what it really means. And you might start getting like a suspicion with your girlfriend. Maybe she's cheating on you. You start getting super jealous. Maybe you'll start checking her phone, and that comes down to being like insecure and having like a distrust with your significant other. And that's something that you could work on by having like a deep conversation with them and having like an open mind, like open, no judgment sort of environment. So we're gonna talk about my personal experiences, right? So about my ex and her ex. For this is the first thing I want to talk about. Okay, so there was this one time, and I don't really want to get into too much detail because I don't really want to think about it. I'm trying to get over this as well. Um, so at some point, my ex texted me. She's like, "Yo, my ex just texted me and he wants to get into a call. He wants to call me. He wants to talk and whatever." And at first, I was like what? Like, no, you're not getting into a call with your ex. But then she sort of explained how like they were super close and that they were like best friends, sort of like they were friends and whatever. And that's like on like just listening to that from your perspective is a red flag. But for me, I was super understanding, right? I wasn't perfect boyfriend, but I was understanding in the way that I was like, you know what, like that's fine. I understand. Like maybe you guys like want to catch up and make sure you guys are okay, right? Because they still care about each other. They were still friends before they got together. That was my thought process. So I talked to one of my boys about it. I was like, yo, listen, man, this happened. He has more relationship experience than me, and I was like, yo, what should I do? And he straight up just said, he's like, no, bro, like don't let that happen because like never he's like don't trust these hoes, right? Obviously that was like a joke, but you know what he's getting at, right? So I was like, all right, what should I do? And he's like, just like tell her like, you know what, I'm gonna listen into this conversation because I don't want anything to happen, especially with like some previous experience that happened with my ex, which I already covered. But in the previous video, I don't really want to talk about it. So I was like, all right. I texted him, I'm like, yo, and it's some context, it's some pre-information. Like my girlfriend and I, my ex and I, we broke up and got together over and over and over again, right? So this eventually led to one of that. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna be in this call, right? And she's like, okay, sure, I'll put you in the call, right? So like we're gonna call in like 30 minutes, right? An hour goes by and like 2 hours goes by. I hit her up, I'm like, yo, did you guys just not end up talking? And she's like, no, we did. And I was like, hey, yo, right? So I texted my friend. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And then he's like, "Bro, just break up with her. Like, you can't be having that. Like, that's not right and whatever." And I already told him that if that happened, I would. So I hit her up and I'm like, "You know what? Like, we talked a little bit, and I eventually said, like, this isn't working, right? We broke up, and we did end up getting back together. I'm pretty sure eventually, but that's my personal experience with envy, or not envy, sorry, like jealousy. Um, but then like I sort of started envying this other person. Like he was able to talk with my girlfriend and my girlfriend at the time, and that just sort of led to like a rabbit hole of hate and negative thoughts towards him. Like I remember going like, I hope he gets hurt. I hope like someone fucks him up. You know what? Like that sort of thing. And that's not really good because that eventually um fucked me over. But anyways, another thing is my friend's success. My friend got a job. He started talking to some girls and all of that shit. And I was super envious about him. I was like, yo, like I want to do that, but instead of actually working on myself, I would just go like, man, fuck this guy. Like he's so lucky that he gets to have all this shit, all these connections because of this person that he knows, and because of that, like his life is going so much better than mine, right? And that's just not good for you, right? It's not a good sort of mentality because you're stuck on more time thinking about somebody else's successes rather than you working on your own success. And then while you're at a standstill, they're still progressing because they don't know that you're thinking about it. And frankly, they probably don't give a shit either. So, another thing is my friend's possessions. My friend had a lot of things. My childhood friend, he had a lot of things. He had like really sick Hot Wheels set because that was cool. When we were younger and all that shit. So I remember asking my parents, like, what, can I have that? And they said no, right? So I eventually got super envious. I'm like, this guy's so lucky. He gets to have this and that. Like his parents buy him everything. Like fuck him. Like I wish I had that. Like I'm gonna spend more time with him just so I could do those things. And although that's not inherently bad, the reason why I was hanging out with him was because I couldn't get those things too, right? So my brother and his life. So like this is, I don't know, a few months ago maybe. I eventually like got envious because my brother, his life started going really well and I'm really happy for him now, but back then I was super fucking envious. I was a piece of shit. I was like fuck that guy, bro. Well, obviously not actually fuck that guy. I love my brother, but it was more like shit, Brandon, he's so lucky. He gets to have this, and it was all luck. And like, why isn't that happening to me? Like, what the hell? And all this shit. And I spent more time. Once again, I spent more time thinking about him and his successes than me actually working on myself. And that completely just took away my time. And I went nowhere in these months where I could have already had. Like, I could have started this podcast like 4 months ago, and it probably would have been big by now, right? So that's what I'm getting at. It's the mentality of spending more time thinking about something else than you actually spending time thinking about yourself, right? And the problem with this sort of thinking is you'll never get anywhere in life, right? If you're stuck being, and that's why I'm making a video about it. If you're stuck being envious, you're never gonna improve yourself. You're never gonna be well. You're never gonna be healthy. You're never gonna progress. You're never gonna be happy. Okay, because then when they get something else, now you're envious about that. It's just this whole cycle. So the next thing I want to cover is how do you figure out if you're feeling envious or jealous. So I already talked about this. Jealousy is safeguarding. Example: if someone hits on your girlfriend and wife, you'd get jealous. You shouldn't get jealous about this if you're not insecure, and I want to talk about that. So if you have a complete trust in your wife and you're completely, that you know your value, you know that if your wife is to, or your girlfriend is to, like, get rid of you to someone else, she's losing. That's what I mean, right? Um, you'll have that complete trust in your wife or girlfriend, but it happens regardless. We're human, we're not perfect, so we'll get jealous, even if we know all of that shit. We might not admit it, but we do. So the way that you could work on this is you could start self-improving. I have a video about self-improving. I'll link it in the description. Actually, let me go to it right now. Self-improvement, what I did to get better. So let me just put this let's put this here. So basically I talk about working out and all of that, and eating healthy, and getting a book, or getting a journal, progressing, setting goals, going slowly. Don't set unrealistic expectations, and slowly through time you'll get better, right? um Figure out the negative thoughts you're having. Like, are they wishing people harm or ill will? Then that's probably envy. If you find yourself being like, I hope he fails, I hope his business fails, if your friend started a business, that's envy, right? But if you're finding yourself wanting something more because someone threatened to take it, that's probably jealousy, and that's not good either. But it's much less worse than envious. Okay, so here are some examples. So, an example of envy. So I wish I had his car. I hate person because he gets to use that car. Like, he gets to use that car. I hope he crashes. Right? You want to take that away from him because you don't have it. That's envy. I don't like person because he always has all the girls over him, and this really shouldn't even be something that you're envious about. I hope, and I want to talk about that right now. So, um, if you're young and you're putting more time into women, when you're older, you're gonna have more responsibilities, and and if fuck, sometimes you might even have a child, and you won't have time to put into yourself, and you won't go anywhere. So you gotta chase excellence. Entrepreneurs in cars taught me that you have to chase excellence, and then women will chase you. Another thing entrepreneurs taught me is women don't really care about how you feel. They'll wait at the finish line, and they'll pick the winners there, right? So don't ever let that discourage you. So I hope his business fails. He only has yeah, I hope his business fails. I already talked about that. You're wishing ill will, harm, and you're thinking about his business. He's not thinking about what the fuck you're thinking, bro. He's out there making business deals, getting richer, getting more cars, and the women are chasing him because of his excellence, while you're there thinking like you're a hater, you're a loser, right? He only has this amount of followers, subscribers, etc. He isn't going anywhere. I've thought about this so many times with my friends. Will just start their fucking fan base and whatever. I'm like, oh, they only have this many followers, this many subscribers. They're not gonna get anywhere. 2 weeks down the line, they're up 5,000 subscribers, and I'm still at nothing, right? And that whole time, I'm just thinking like, oh, nothing's gonna happen, and like they're not gonna go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, what can envy do to you? Envy can break up your relationships. It can ruin your goals, destroy your mental health, blind you, and prevent you from reaching your goals. I already talked about preventing you from reaching your goals. I'm not going to get back into it. I swear to God, I talked to you about that like 7 times now, but I'm really trying to drill that into your head. Um, if you're envious about it, maybe your friends will catch you saying like, I hope his business fails, and they're not going to be your friend anymore. A friend is supposed to be someone that supports you, not someone that wishes you harm, right? You got to really look at yourself. Are you really a friend? Are you really a good friend? Or if someone else is being envious of you, cut them off. Are they actually a good friend? It'll ruin your goals, blind you, destroy your mental health. It's destructive. You'll spend more time thinking about someone else's success instead of your own, therefore taking your time away. You won't be able to reach your goals, or it might be too late at that point because you spent all your fucking time thinking about somebody else, right? Um, it'll destroy your mental health while you're thinking about others. They're thinking about themselves and their progression while you're still at a standstill. So how do I stop being envious? This is from the article that I have listed here. I'll post them in the description as well. You can start thinking about how much you've grown in the past month, right? Especially if you watch my other videos, you're setting a month of expectation, not a week, or not trying to be better than you were yesterday, because I think that's bullshit. I think that's just something that hype beast grinders come up with. I don't really believe in it. If I look at myself how I was last month, I didn't have my podcast. I was losing in my investments. I wasn't as big. Well, I'm not really that big either way, but I wasn't as fit as I was last month. So I already know that I'm growing, right? I wasn't as confident in myself as last month, and I was still in this toxic relationship and all that. I wasn't confident talking with girls and all that bullshit. So, thinking about how much I've progressed, I start seeing myself in a better light, seeing myself as a better person, as a better man, right? Think about yourself as a person rather than comparing yourself to your friends. Is what I mean by that. So, think yourself as an individual. 5 years down the line, you might not even have the same friends you have now. So why compare yourself to them, right? Instead of using your friend's success as a way, instead use your friend's success as a way to motivate yourself and improving and pushing forward. So what I mean by this is, instead of looking at your friend's success and going like, yo, he doesn't deserve that, he did this, this, this is this, start looking at them as motivation, right? Go like, fuck, this guy made $1,000 in the past 2 weeks. I'm going to start making $1,000 in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to work my ass off at my job. I'm going to invest. I'm going to multiply my money. I'm going to make money. I'm going to make money. I'm going to grow. I'm going to work out in the gym every single day. I'm going to work out an hour this week, 2 hours sorry, not this week, 2 hours today. I'm going to swim laps in the pool. I'm going to do this and that shit. You're motivating yourself. You're using their positivity and feeding off of it, and you having your own positivity and your own strength and your own growth in yourself. You can look at the things you have and be grateful about it, right? Because when you're being envious, you're looking at other people's things, but then you really got to start thinking like, okay, I have this sick desktop right here. I have 2 monitors, a nice keyboard, nice microphone, have a light over there, webcam, really nice mouse, than this fucking beast of a computer, right? And I'm not saying that in like a way of bragging, but when I look at my friends, right, and I'm like, oh, he has a really nice car or some bullshit like that, I can think like, oh, like he probably doesn't have this sort of thing. You got to start thinking about what you have yourself, and be grateful about it, right? Some of my friends don't have jobs, but they'll have other things, whereas I have a job. I'm gaining that independence. So that's essentially what I mean about that. You gotta start thinking objectively. Get your emotions out of your thought process. What is envy actually doing for me? Is it making me productive or destroying my productivity? Really think about that. Weigh out the pros and cons. Pros and cons. Remove emotion from your thought process and come up with a non-biased conclusion. So this is a mouthful, but you gotta think about envy. Is it making me more productive, or am I spending more time thinking about somebody else? Is it that's destroying my productivity? Weigh out the pros and cons. I already talked about that. The cons. I already talked about the cons. The pros. There are none. Remove emotion from your thought process. Stop thinking. Stop thinking out of anger. Um, that's another way. Another way to get rid of envy. Stop and manage your anger, right? Remove emotion from your thought process and come up with a non-biased conclusion. And I guarantee you, it's gonna be, oh shit, this is fucking me over. I'm gonna start thinking about myself now. Be your own person. Stop thinking about others. At the end of the day, your friends can come and go with the snap of a finger. Same thing with significant others. They might find someone more successful. They'll go with them, your significant other, right? That's just how women work. Something that you just kind of gotta accept. That's why you always gotta be competing. It's always a competition at the end of the day. But be your own person. Stop thinking about other people. Be more confident in yourself. Look at my self-improvement videos, my addiction videos, and my heartbreak from men to get over if that actually happens to you. Turn your negative thinking into positive thinking. So, this is pretty self-explanatory. Maybe you could read a book or go through like a therapist, psychologist, or some shit, because I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert at that bullshit. I don't really know about like psychology, but I have enough experience, I think, to be able to help other people out, which is why I started this channel. So anyways, these are some of the things we covered. Why you're envious. Why do you try to be like others? Am I envious or jealous? What's the difference between jealousy and envy? So yeah, I'll link these 2 articles in the bottom in the description, and these 2 top videos are from Entrepreneurs in Cars. Essentially, the first one is about I think it's about why men and women get jealous, and the second one is about how to handle jealousy, or I think it's the other way around. And then this is my video about improving yourself, which I highly recommend that you guys watch. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll also post this document in the description. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys success and good things, I guess. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.